Well, now we're going to talk about easily one of the most powerful expressions, control structures, however we want to put it, in the C programming language. And that's called the switch or switch case. Because switch and case, and also default, are keywords in this item, but mostly it's called the switch case. And what happens is that we switch on an expression. Now this expression has to have an integer result. You can't switch on a string, you can't switch on a float, anything like that. This has to be an integer value in switch expression. Down here we will have the word case, that's a reserved word, another constant expression, because this is not being evaluated, this is actually being compared inside the assembly language that will be produced. So we have a constant expression, and then a colon, and then a statement or statement block, surrounded by braces, as we know, to be executed if this constant expression matches the original integer expression up there. We are actually comparing these two. Now the neat thing in a switch is that we can have a whole list of these, whole list of cases, and we will actually create the same kind of form that we had with the else if that we just took a look at. But this is a much cleaner way to do it, and it's much easier to maintain. And then there is a default colon statement at the end, which is optional. You don't have to have a default. If you don't, execution will run through these case constants and then fall out the end. But if you want to do something at the end, like our else we had before, then you need a default statement. Let's take a look at the two side by side, switch and else if. Here's our else if that we just took a look at in the last video. Remember, if not string compare, buffer, and the slash question mark that we used, if that was true, this comparison, we would print they want help. Else if, and so on, slash A and slash B, and then here's our default of none of the above, we would print an unknown option. Well, here's how we do it in a switch. We switch on buffer sub 1. Remember, buffer sub 0 has this slash in it, and buffer sub 1, the next character over, has this question mark or an A or a B or something we don't know. So we are going to switch on just the one character and skip over the slash. If, that's how you read this, if this, in case, this buffer 1 is a question mark, in case buffer 1 is a question mark, printf, they want help. Just like we did here. And then we break. We have to have this break statement in here because these cases will fall through if we don't. If we don't do that break, this would occur. We'd skip right over these two values because they're just labels. Notice the colon, that signifies a label. They're just labels of the switch. And it would fall in and it would print option A, and then it would fall in and it would print option B. So we need to have that break word in there. If this question mark does not match our expression, notice that's a literal, single quotes around it. If this literal constant value right here does not match that, we'll go to the next one. And we'll look here, in case this buffer 1 is a capital A, or in case buffer 1 is a lowercase a, do this, print option A. Now we didn't have that functionality only over here. We only could look at uppercase A and B because we didn't do any conversions or anything, any lower string work or anything like that to convert these. So switch gives us a little more functionality in just one more little line of code that doesn't really produce much of anything in the compiler other than an extra comparison. So here we have a case uppercase A or case lowercase a. If that one hits, it'll fall through that one. And if that one doesn't hit, it'll catch this one and we'll print option A. And then we break. Same thing down here. Case uppercase B or lower B, we'll print option B, and then we'll break. Remember, you got to have the break so that you can get out of here and not fall through. If we don't hit A or B, we'll hit the default label down here, which says unknown option. just the way we had our default else, none of the above over here. All right, so that's what this structure looks like. Let's go take a look at it in code. And I